We got these Yellowstone Class C. We're gonna go up and take a look at the roof. Up these stairs. Our shop is a mess, but it's laid out nice. You get scaffolding all over the place. You can walk all around. We gotta finish the front, get the railings on there. But in the meantime, I can give you this little intro of what we got going on. So one of the first things we do when the coaches come in, we want to check, make sure the air works. Any vents, their power vents, we want to make sure they work. But and then we protect the whole coach. You just haven't gotten to the awning yet, but we do have something over the door already over there. And we just throw these furniture pads all over everything. We want to make sure it's all protected. So you can see we've already got some issue right here. Water getting in there. So probably have to replace that. Look how much they mounted that up. That is crazy. And it's still breaching right here. Again, right there in the corner. I guess you have to put some more on. Gee whiz. I certainly don't like that dacor stuff. But this right here. Dacor. You can tell it's got a big cavity underneath it. See it? There's a lot of air in there. But obviously this thing is going to be junk. We're probably not going to be able to salvage it. Look like all the corners are starting to pull up anyways. But this is your typical roof. So what Dicor wants you to do, they want you to go around and put more on, and keep slobbering all around there. Pretty soon you'll have like 5 inches of the stuff around your vent. It'll look like a moat. And you're like, wow. I get some sprinkling over here, right there. And it's isn't the worst roof that I've ever seen, for sure. I don't know what the actual deck's going to be like when we get into it, but we don't know. So someone's trying to do a patch right here. So you can see how good that held. See? It don't hold. No primer, no holdy. And that's that roof tape right there. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that didn't hold at all. Pull that right up. So we got a big hole there. And but you got to prime all that. Things don't stick unless you have primer on it. So hold on there. I'm doing a video. I shall be with you uno momento. That means in a minute. Yeah. Getting really good with my Latin. Well, this is what we got. If you have one of these crank ups, we replace all these. In fact, there's a whole bunch of them right there. That's all crank ups you take off. But what you want to do, see, like especially in the rain, all right, when it comes down, the water's going to get right down in there. See it? So pop this off. You got to seal that. Make sure it's sealed good so water doesn't get down there. I don't like the way these things are run across the roof. So when we get this all apart, more than likely we'll end up troughing that out, and I'll make a boot for it so it'll sit up. If we're even keeping it, I don't know. I just emailed them to find out if we're going to keep this or not. But anyhow, that's about all we got on here. It's just a failed roof at this point with some issues with the skylight, and you can see the patching that I showed you over there. But it looks like someone did try to put a coating on here. These coatings never hold up. You can see how pucked up it is. And then if you get any leaks, sometimes they'll get underneath the coating and they'll travel. So it makes really hard. It's hard to seal over a coating. If you had a leak or something, it's real hard to fix it. We don't do coatings. And you see we got some more breakage here and breaching, if you will. And I'm going to probably put some better spouts on there. Those ones are just little nubbers. Or, you know, the ones we have, they kick out a little bit so they get it away from the coach. I like to see that. At least the turn bar is on the bottom here, not on the top. It really should be wrapped over like this. But otherwise, so let's get to work. We're going to find out what's all going on, and we'll show you as we go. Look at the damage we got here. Look at that. Everybody trying to take something else. Get all these staining right here. Then you see the sidings come loose right here. They're still wet down in there. That is wet. That is wet down in there. So we want to see what's going on with the bunk. I know we got some water right here, so that's what we're working on, seeing what we got going on. This is our exploration. We're gonna have to redeck this anyways because we got to do these repairs here. Right here, this is all delaminated right here, so got to fix that. There's some right here. So, we'll see what happens once we dry it out. Some of it could just be water stained, or I don't know. But we'll find out. We don't want to leave anything suspect up underneath the roof for sure. May be able to dry it off, see what it does, hit it with some mold kill, and then maybe just redeck over that instead of tearing it all up. But we won't know until we're done. But that bunk is what is concerning me right now. We're going to end up getting rid of that big old dish right there. It's huge. I'm glad to see that thing go. And we do have a new antenna as well. Well, looks like we got a little bit of D-lam up in there, and you can see all the water dripping out right here. Yeah. We're going to open it up, see what's going on. It's all rotted up in there. You can see the waviness in the sheathing behind there. That's still lamination. Some of these come in just for a roof, maybe possibly a redeck, and then we get into other stuff. Throws our calendar way off. If your coach is headed in this direction, keep that in mind, because we got to fix all this. We can't just throw it back together and say, hey, let's get another one in here. We don't do that kind of work. So we're going to free it all up. We're going to see what's going on underneath. That's what we're doing over here. Taking it all apart. And then check her out. Look how rusty these screws are. These screws are so rusty. See where that one is here. Look at how rusty that screw is. So I am alright, look at how rusty these screws are. So we know that we're going to have some trouble with that. You get some water right there already on there. My guess is that you get some water in here. This one's all rusted too. Rusted here. All of them are all rusted out. Here's on the passenger side. That's where we are now. It's all rotted in there. Open that up a little bit so I can get the camera in there. There you go. Look at all there. Alrighty. Hey, all of this underneath here is wet. It's got to be coming from somewhere. This is soaked. This whole corner radius right here. This is soaked. But I mean, just looking up there, it looks like that's probably wet too. So we're going to take those lights off. We're going to investigate. This is all the underside of the bunk. You can see the wood right here. You see all that's rotted there. It looks like they're going to rebuild this bunk. See that edge right there is all rotted. Right there. That looks dry. Whoa! Who's down there? Rob! We gotta get that. You see, it's all soaked right there. All the way down there, over there. Alright, and that hole, you see it just fell apart here. Yeah, that's how the water is. This is the driver's side. Wow, it just soaked down in there. You can see all the remnants of the rotted wood right there.
And the water leaked down.
Yeah. It just filtered right through there. That's why, and it ran down through that foam, which is why it was right on the metal side there. Daggone. There's very much to, they don't have any stock up here. Might see what they got for stock behind here. See, this is where the termination bar was. You know, a lot of times they got anything in there. I don't even know if they have anything in there. This is all junk anyways. So even if there is any stock in there, it's probably rotted. So I got something to... There's some stock there. It's all rotted. So you can clearly see where it was leaking. Well, time to dry her out. This is the platform to the Yellowstone that we're putting together. A lot of people, they say, hey, I like aluminum frames, they're stronger. You can see a little weld right there. Actually, you can see it looks like they burned through it when they heat it up, right? Alright, so you got that. So there's no weld on here, on the top of there. You come down this length here. No weld, no weld, no weld. Here's a weld. Here's another weld. No weld, no weld, no weld on the bottom. Actually, that didn't even line up on the bottom either. So this thing is flimsy. That's just the way they build them. And that's why they start to fail. The other problem that we noticed, which was just like the last one we did, might be a thing with these Yellowstones. A couple of things here. Navigate through here. On the last one that we had, when this comes together, see, there's a radius piece that goes inside here, and it's actually right. See if that's it there. Yeah, this is it right here. Alright, so this sits in, let's see if I can show you. This sits in like this. That's how it's supposed to go. And then when you put the siding on, you can see the frame, the wood frame is sticking out further than the pylon. So we're going to have to make that the right shape and fit it in there. And the other one, when I line them up, so I have the two of them, which are right here, the left and right side. When you line them up, these have to be perfect. They have to be perfect, and these are not. One is a little bigger than the other on the radius. It doesn't seem like it would be an issue, but it won't let the fiberglass sit right. So maybe I can give you a better view on it. As you can see, like right here, the lower one is a little wider. Even if I try to marry them up a little better, but they're off just a bit. So now I've got it, you can see right in here, that's sticking out, and I've got it all trued around. Yeah, get the camera in there. I've got it all trued on the other side, but it's a little wider. So that's going to cause the pylon to not sit right. So that's another issue we saw. So we've got the platform issue, we've got the radius issue, and what they did, going across on the inside, they put this heavy piece of steel in there, which is back here. We just stowed it. And this thing is way too heavy. I mean, it's actually got some weight to it, but that's heavy. That is not a light piece of steel. So what happens when you put this piece of steel up inside there, as you're traveling, the bunk, my hand is going to be the radius of that thing. As it's bouncing down the road, all that weight from that piece of steel I just showed you is going to keep one, you come down and it'll stretch everything out. It's strong, but it's too heavy. So we have to make a radius that's strong, but not that heavy. So what happens is now the piece will be up inside there, going from here as it's built in. And it's the whole idea of it is to pull all this component back together, meaning this rail and the platform. That's what that piece was for. But with all that weight pulling on it, look how flimsy this is. So now it's tugging on all this cheap aluminum, and then the caulking starts coming loose. Now you got to keep in mind you've got all of this headwind coming at you, and that vibration or that turbulence, and then it's also racking back and forth. This thing is doing a lot of motion, and that's what causes your caulking to fail. You get a little bit of a failure in the caulking, then you get a failure with water coming in, so on and so forth. So ironically, look at here, same exact animal. The only difference is this is on a Ford chassis, but same rot, same thing. See the fiberglass is up there, and there's the wood, same problem. And he had a piece of tape, you can faintly see the tape mark right here. We just brought this in yesterday, and he says, hey, he's up on deck. This will be up in the next couple of few that we do. But anyhow, when he brought it in, he said, hey, can you check that out? And we opened it up, and you see it's all delamed, so I got to take it apart. And then the insulation up here, that's actually still wet. That's still wet. I don't know if you can see if we can show that. That wet spot right there. That's what it's from. It's still wet in here. I don't know if it's not wet so much where it's going to drip at this point, but we did get some water out of it yesterday, and we've kept it open. And I got my heater right here, so it was helping to dry it out. But so we got to tear this one apart, and it's the same exact thing. And this is why, you know, all these things start falling apart. They want to get it built, get it out, get it sold. So I try to do these videos so you can get educated on what may happen. How to fix all that to prevent it be hard to say, because especially on this one and this one here, with all that big plating in there, that's just a terrible design. So we did another one. It was a Trailmaster. I think it was a Shasta. And if you watch that Shasta, you'll see how we rebuilt, and you'll see it on this video too. By the time if you go to watch the other one, you'll be finished watching this one, right? And we'll show you how we do the radius on there to give it all the strength it needs. It's going to be real light, but it's going to be strong as hell, that's for sure. And we're going to redo the bottom platform as well. This is our radius. Stay tuned. That we made up. So we're going to skin that, clean it all up. We just glued it all back together. So we get all that foam in there. So that's going to give it all its strength that it needs. And we made some new radii, and then you know, mounting for it and everything else, so it'll go in better. They had this one piece coming up, and they had a couple of struts going across, just aluminum, couple of aluminum pieces. That was it. That's not going to be strong enough to take care of. You need something with a backing behind that on this radius. So this is the top of it. As that radius comes around and it goes up towards the roof, that's what it was. And all they had was this, well, as you can see, this aluminum frame. Well, that was no good. So we just put some more framing in here and give it a little bit more rigidity. It still doesn't weigh very much, so we didn't weigh this all down. But you have to be selective on the wood that you use, because you can add a significant amount of weight if you use the wrong wood. So now what we're going to do is just skin this. It doesn't have a window or anything, so we're going to skin it, and we'll fill it with some foam, and it'll be a nice solid piece. So we'll put that up there, and so that's where we're at about now. We've got the platform already built over there, and we're just about ready to start assembling all this when we get all these components together. We got new decking that we glued down. You can see we got all our buffer strips in there. And then we got this side is already done. We already went ahead and did that. And then now what we're going to do is just roll it out, and then we just get the big rollers on here and pack her down. That's what we're doing right now. And so now we got it all rolled out. Then I just paused for a second there because I thought I saw something in there like a wood chip, but it wasn't. It was nothing. Just a piece of dust or something. So now we got all our plumbing marked out as well, and our antennas, all our stuff's all marked out. And now what we're going to do is balance. We have a balance roller that I made, and that's just like a pre-tacker. And once we get that, then we roll over it with the big one right here. This big one. We just want to get it pre-tacked. So now what we're going to do is just take the big roller and pack her down. We get up there, we take our shoes off so we don't mark everything up. Yeah, sometimes it's an advantage, but if a guy's got some real stinky socks on, he's got to do this job alone. Alright, this is our bunk rebuild, if we didn't show you. If I did, now you've seen it twice. So, we got the front piece up there, and then we got our radius all built, we got the platform all built, everything's done. All we're doing now is just cinching everything together up there at the top, and then we got to glue the fiberglass on. We're going to have to put a new piece on. Couldn't salvage the old piece. There was so much stuff stuck to it that we were trying to gingerly try to get it off of there so we could reuse it, but it was all fractured and dry and cracking and all that stuff, so we had to put, we're going to be putting a new piece on. These are Yellowstone. We got a new skin on the front here, and now we're trying to put this piece in. So we had all this put all back together, and then what we noticed, see if this will do it. Boom. So what happened, I'll try to show you. Look at that gap. Why is that? I don't want to put it together and find out why. So, I want to know why, what's causing it. Not supposed to do that. What we're going to do is back up under there. Alright. Watch the framing. This framing over here is moving. That's what it is. The whole thing is all compromised. So we're going to cut this like we did right there. You see the slot? We're going to put some stock in there, and we're going to also put some shear plating on it to pull it back together so it'll all hold right. The other side, we're going to do the same on the other side. But there's not enough strength in here like this. There's no weld. The weld's gone right there. Okay, so let's see if it'll do it. This weld right there, it's not really welded. So all this, there's no strength in this on the weight that's got here. So if you don't put some strength in here, you're going to tax this fiberglass, which eventually it'll start separating here. And when it starts separating, then you'll have some issues. But that's because it all was included. See, there's no glue in there to bond everything together. All they rely on is just putting the glue on top of the face. You need to put something else in there, and that's what we're going to do. At least in this case we do. Because of the way this Yellowstone was framed, it's really sour. So, and the plus side, now that we're figuring the bugs out of it, I've got an exact one over in Bay 3. This is Bay 1, so we got another one over in Bay 3, same exact thing, except it's on a Ford chassis, so these are some of the bugs we're going to be looking for. These are the worst bunks that I've seen so far yet. I think they're really piss poorly configured here for sure. So that's what we're working on. Okay, so now we've got a piece of framing in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lace over that right here on the frame. We're going to bring it all the way up to the top of the frame up there. And we're going to lace into that with a piece of metal. That'll just wrap over the whole thing. Obviously we'll fill this pocket in. Then we're going to skin it over with another piece of Luan. And when we skin all that and glue it all together, by the time everything's all done and everything's fastened, it'll be strong. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So it's just a very vulnerable area. I'm also looking up at there. See that crack in there? See, a lot of this stuff just is not put together well, and you can see the underside of that right in there. That's where it's all compromised. So we got to get some strength in here. So, and all our weight's going to be sitting over here. That's why we put it there, and that'll help bridge it. So we're going to get this thing. We do have a piece of aluminum on the passenger side. There's a piece right there. It's just all kind of boogered over, but that's what it is. So they got that there, and that's where we put the other. Well, we moved the other one a little closer on this side is what we did. But that'll suffice. So now we're just going to do our repair on this side and get it all put back together. They didn't do it on the other side. Maybe another guy was working on the other side that time. Who knows? We'll get this is the lid to the AC. Here's the AC lid. Okay? And you see it's all cracked. So we're just going to put a couple of repairs on here. We'll try and save them $1 or $2. It'll take us a few minutes to do it. And then what we'll do is probably throw some epoxy on it just to keep it kind of tightened together. But I'll show you. I don't know if you've seen this trick, but I'll show you because it's pretty handy. And you can use it for a lot of different plastic stuff. It's called a hot stapler. So give me a second. This is a hot stapler. And basically, all it is just a branding iron. and then they give you these little hot staples. You can buy all different kinds and sizes and shapes. So we know we got to do like, here, hold this together on that side. Look at that. There you go, right there. See if I do this. So then what you do, once you set your level, let me make sure it's set over there. Excuse me. Scusa. So you can set your different levels depending on how thick your material is. So I found medium works well, but if you have thinner plastics, you can use the low, or even thicker plastics, you can use the high. So then the power switch is over there. And then what we do, let's squeeze up together. And then what we're going to do, you just take this. See if I can zoom up. Hopefully I won't blur you out. Press the button on the side. Let it cool for a second. So we're going to go along and put a series of these staples in here. And then we're going to snip all the little ends off, and then we're going to put some epoxy on it, make sure it has some strength. So we get all the little staples in there. Now all we're doing is just snipping the little ends off. And it's really strong. We probably don't even need to put any epoxy on it. It's already dry. Even if we took the time to epoxy all these, it's going to crack somewhere else. So eventually you're going to need another one. Just loaded up this corner right here with quite a few of them, because we just like a lot of hair fractures in there. But I've been pulling on it, and it seems like it's really strong. So all we're going to do is probably paint those little staples, make sure they don't rust, and that should get us. Well, we found out why this daggum thing was so heavy. It's almost all wood. Like, they got a little bit of foam there. They got this piece all the way across. This pretty wide piece too. You know, it's like I don't know, like almost like a 1 foot piece right here into there. And then you got this one out there, and they got it over here, and then they got a solid piece in here too. Building this one up. It's up underneath there. You can see it right there. Going over to here. They got another heavy stock right here, and then they got another piece of heavy stock up there. That is way too much weight for this thing. Way too much. I'm surprised quality control let them even use this amount of wood. You know, but they've got it attached to this aluminum frame, which, you know, the frame isn't all that strong. But anyhow, let's tear it apart, and we're gonna redo it and get all the pieces in there like we should. But it's gonna be a lot lighter and probably stronger in other areas because we're lacking in this strength right here. So you got it here, but there isn't anything up front. So this section of this aluminum right here is getting stressed out, even though it's going to be taken care of up there, screwed together, but you want to try to keep it even. So I'll end up putting some pieces in here, a lot of it for nailers as well, so we can tack it back together and glue it back together. But it'll also add some strength to this aluminum. I don't like this aluminum. It's just really cheap, a really low alloy, and they also don't weld it all together. People always say, hey, you know, I like these aluminum frames, they're a lot stronger. Not necessarily. I mean, you got to weld here. There's nothing here. It's not like they're all welded to give it all the strength. So if you only weld on certain sides of the, whatever it is, whether it's aluminum or steel, the weld is only good for that side of resistance, okay? So if you were to take it, you could bend it. We'll say you welded it right here. You could take this piece like this and wiggle it back and forth a couple times, and that weld would break. So we do see a little weld right there. Let's see if there's one on this side. See, there's nothing on that side. So they're not all welded together really good. That's why I really don't care for them. And you can see, just with a little bit of pressure, you can see how much that's flexing right in there, you know. So let me get to work, strip this down, and we're going to rebuild it.
All right, this is our Yellowstone with the Chevy chassis. We're going to go show you. You can see we got the whole front bunk done. We got all that squared away. So all of it's put back together. I think we showed you the progress on that. We tried to match the paper inside, and it's like the same texture, the same style, but it's not quite. I don't even know if I may have to get a light in here. I'll get a light in here and I'll show you. But we'll go up there and check the. We'll go check the roof and show you what we got, because we're done with the roof too. Here's our roof. Ah, look at there. All right, so we got everything all heat welded in, and we get our logo on here, RVRoof.pro, not .com, .pro. we're moving up. February of 20 is when we installed the roof. So now when we see this come back for inspections, we can see how old the roof is, how it's performing. Also, we do that if the coach ever gets sold. I don't want someone to try to talk him down and say, no, these roofs are terrible, I'm going to have to replace it. You know, hey, this roof is only, whatever, a couple of years old or whatever it may be. So we've double caulked all around the perimeter. Everything has 2 strikes on it, all the way down. Everything is all heat welded. Those curves are heat welded. We do not sell any of these components. Nothing. We don't sell anything at all, except for the service. But, so that being said, you know, these are not really intended as a DIY video. If you get some tips and tricks out of it, cool. But they're really not intended for that. This is a 60 mil commercial grade roof system. This Carlisle brand is what this one is. And it's a structured membrane like the other. I'll see if I find a piece and show you. But as we build the curves, we build all the counter flashing into the curb. That's what counter flashing is. So as you're coming into the weather, and that water in the rain is just barreling across the roof, it'll actually come up and hit that, and then it'll scoot around the sides. So it's basically a barrier. It's really on the ones that you see now, the way they do the roof systems, when they put the skylight lens down, load it up with screws, and then just slobber it with caulking, you end up getting an erosion effect. And this is going to minimize the erosion effect. Obviously, you're going to have water coming down, but that's not quite the same as water rushing over it. So we got the stands in the back of our AC. We've got 2 of those. It just gives us some balance. So we get that. Then in the front, in the air conditioning, the curb under there has the same type of counter flash as the skylight does. They all have the same. And then what we did is put a front, that's an additional counter flash for the AC itself. So the one underneath it on the curb is for the curb, the one for the AC, obviously for the air conditioner. So now we'll go back to the scenario of having all that rain come down. Obviously it's coming across the roof and it's coming down the air conditioner. So there's a foam gasket up inside there. That's what that prevents water from trying to trickle backwards into that foam gasket. On the sides, the water can't get back down in there. On the bottom of the pan, it would have of the air conditioner, it's got some extrusions and things, so the water is going to drip off and roll out. So, and it's going to be more than likely blowing out. Even if it was sitting, it still wouldn't be able to roll. But on here in the front, it's not. It's the way the pan is shaped in the front, and I don't like it, so that's why we put that on there. Same thing with our same detail, welded all around, and then it's got the counter flash, and the same with the antenna install. So all of that is welded though, all that skirt. See if I can zoom up a little bit for you. All that is all welded in there. There's no caulking. It's not caulked at all. It's all heat welded. So it fuses much like you would weld 2 pieces of metal. So we go along and we put 2 strikes of caulking all on the perimeter. Obviously both sides there, on the top here. And you can see right here we got a little bit of jaundice going on. That's actually primer. It needs to be primed. So when you put the first strike on, we put this is your awning gutter rail, and we put that on, we use an adhesive sealant in the back. I don't use butyl. So then once we screw it on there, it'll burp up, we strike it down. Once we strike it down, wait for it to cure, we put another bead of caulk on there. Once that cures, we come back and we make it yet wider. So I guess you could say there's 3 layers on there. And that's the way we do it all around. This insert trim is different. You can buy it in white all day long, but you just can't buy it in the black. This white. This is the product that we're using right here. And what's good about it is over here, if you look on the right side, you can see there's a groove, and this piece sits inside the groove. Here, I got a piece of black here, maybe I can push it. It's really in there tight. This is normally what they use. So water will get back down into that track. But this one, it locks in. See if I can, boy, that really is tough. I'm really trying to push it there. May have to put the camera down for it. Let's see if I can get this thing to put it on the stairs. There we go. Alright. So you can see the end of it. See how it's got that groove? So it sits in there pretty tight, as you can see. That's a much better system. This is the same thing, it's just white, that's all. So it's the same exact product. That's what this is that we have on the coach, obviously, is the white. Just like this product better. It's just, it's going to last longer. And I'd hate to put something inferior on there and watch water get in here, and then it'll run down around through the awning gutter rail, and it could potentially cause a problem, and I don't want that. So, you know, it just seems to be a shame that they don't want to spend the extra money. Again, you can buy this, but the black you cannot buy. In the RV industry, won't pay the extra few cents to have it custom made. We had to have it custom made in order to get it, as you can see. You had to buy almost 2 miles of it actually to get it. So we've got quite a few years on it. But again, we don't sell anything here. We don't sell any of that stuff. All right, so this so far is what we got. Let me show you the roofing material. If I can get a piece of that. And I'll show you what a structured membrane is. Here's a piece of the remnant right here, and that's what it is. You can see all those squares in there. There's a mesh built into the product. What that mesh does is give it some more tensile strength against tree branches and hail and things like that. Easily patchable. If you ever had a hole in the roofs, you can do a hot patch right on it, you know, much like the material we use for the logo and the curves. You can put that on there, so that's pretty easy to patch. That's why I like this system. If there was a better system out there that performed better price-wise and all of that, if it was better than this, I would install it. As much as I like TPO roofs, I don't think it's the cure-all for every roof situation. I think products are designed to do a certain task, and if you take those products out of their boundaries, then they won't work proper. So that being said, on a slide out, we don't use TPO. I make all of that out of metal. So going yet back to the roof system, I know there's different types out there, spray-on recovery systems. If it worked, I would just go buy the rig. We've had a commercial company for a long, long time. We're used to expensive machines and sprayers. If it worked well, then I would just buy the machine and do it. But I don't feel confident with it. It does not solve the problem of being elevated up off the roof line. And the other reason why I don't like those spray-on systems is because they never tell you what they are. They don't tell you the brand, they don't tell you anything. I'm telling you right now, this is Carlisle's brand TPO 60 mil commercial structured membrane. You go anywhere and you need to have something done, you know what's compatible with this product, you see. Let's see if we can take a look inside and then show you what the Bunk looks like. On the refrigerator, there's a drain that comes down. And the drain needs to come, the drain comes down and needs to come out. It is always brittle. The thing will crumble apart. Actually, here's part of it right here. See if I can. Here's part of it. See? It's all crumbly. So if you don't fix that, it will rot out the floor. So that's what we're working on right now. We got the refrigerator jerked out. And then we got to put the drain in there. We got to put a new line in there. So this way it'll drain properly. I'll show you that even a little bit more here in a minute. This is the interior. So this is what I was telling you about. I mean, it looks really nice and clean. It really does. There's some new wallpaper we found and I wanted to use it. It's just a peel and stick. But if you look, it's not exact. And it's going to be hard to even find that, especially in a peel and stick. But it's so easy to work with. I mean, literally peel and stick it. It's like just like vinyl. But otherwise, I mean, I think everything else looks really sharp. So obviously we just throw our mattress back on there, good to go. And then we get more into this fridge, I'll show you. But those are some of the things, getting back to the refrigerator, these are some of the things that we want to look for. You know, the next thing you know, if you don't fix that little crummy line, that cheap line, if you don't fix it, it's going to rot out all under the floor and everything. Then we'd have to take all this apart to fix all that. That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. But welcome to the RV world. Cheap, 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 cheap. So this is the little cup that goes in there to collect all the condensation, and it's going to go through that hole. And then there's a piece of the flexible line right here, and then that's going to attach onto there behind the refrigerator. All this is going to run back down to the wall, and then there's a little twist that we put in it to make sure it doesn't want to. Every time you open these air conditioners, some of the things you got to realize when you open up one of these refrigerators, every time you open up a refrigerator,
you're going to get hot air coming in through there, and it just taxes the refrigerator from doing its job. So we're going to show you a little trick of how we twist that to make a little trap on it so the air won't be so prone to come on back into the refrigerator. Alright, so we got all this put back together, and you can see that little loop right there that we made. That's going to be kind of like your P-trap. You'll have water sitting in that belly right there. That's what we want. And then what it does, it gets routed down here, and this is the back of the grate. See? And that's where you want it to drip out. So you can reassemble that, you know, when you remount it back in there. I don't know if I can do that one-handed or not. So it'll be something like this. That's what's going to happen. Okay? Pop that lid back on there. And then you have this on the end. And then we've got a little spout right there. That's where the water's going to come out. Okay? So that's what you want. Now, we won't have to worry about the floor rotting. It's that simple. So, fix that little clip there. But that's it. So let me fix that clip. And then we appreciate you watching. That's our Yellowstone.